You doing good business. If I'm easy work, I heard him say I'm easy work. If I was easy work, you would take all that money that he's offering.
Canelo Alvarez said it would be easy to fight Terence Crawford, so Crawford clapped back at him. For sure, Crawford told Canelo that he was the one who was afraid to fight him. The WBO welterweight champion, Terence Crawford, spoke out about the recent fights between Canelo Alvarez and Turki Al-Sheikh, who is the head of the Saudi Arabian Boxing Federation. People had heard that Canelo wanted to fight Crawford, but Crawford wasn't sure if he really wanted to do it. Crawford said, "It's crazy, and it makes me laugh at all the SHT Canelo is saying and doing in the media about his size and how he won't get any credit, and other things like that. But Canelo has fought smaller guys his whole career." Crawford said Canelo had made a lot of money for years, facing smaller opponents like Floyd Mayweather, Amir Khan, and Yoel Charlo. "I'm pretty sure he didn't make as much money with all of those guys except Mayweather and even Edgar Bonga right now than he would with me," Crawford said. Craig thinks that Canelo's reasons for not wanting to fight him are just that reasons. Crawford said, "You'd be doing well in business if it were all about that." People are still arguing about whether Canelo is really committed to facing the best opponents possible, as Crawford's comments show. Some people criticize Canelo for avoiding tough fights in the past, but others say he's just facing the best opponents who are willing to step up. Ultimately, it is up to Canelo to decide who he wants to fight next, but if he is serious about being the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, he will need to face Crawford at some point. Another story: Crawford isn't happy with came from Madrim Moves promoter Eddie Hearn. After the fight, Hearn promotes Canelo's next opponent, Edgar Berlanga, and also previously staged several of the Mexican fights. As such, he was in attendance for the first press conference for Canelo vs. Berlanga on Monday and was caught having an interesting exchange. Canelo said to Hearn, "You've been talking about me all week," to which Hearn answered, "We have to use your name to sell the Crawford vs. Madoff show." Crawford has taken problem with this, though. As he said, "I thought it was disrespectful for Eddie Hearn to lie and say we had to use your name to market the fight. We didn't use Canelo's name to market. He's trying to stay friends with him, but it's disrespectful to me. We didn't have to use Canelo's name to sell nothing." Crawford said that Eddie saying that they had to use Canelo's name in order to sell his fight against Madoff was an insulting move by
Use Canelo's name to promote nothing. Anytime they ever gave me any question about Canelo, I shut it down. Just like, I'm pretty sure he'll shut it down. I'm focused on Belerga. That's what he's going to say. Anytime I don't want to talk about Canelo, I don't want to speak about Canelo, I'm worried about one person. So for him to say we had to use his name
Moreover, Oscar de la Hoya slammed Canelo for asking $150 million to fight Crawford, saying he was outbidding himself. Oscar believes that Al-Sheikh was right to point out Canelo's ridiculous demand.
Crawford, Virgil gets past.
Absolutely. I think, look, the one thing that I respect about Your Excellency and Turkey is he wants to make the best fights. That's basically it. And a lot of fighters, they outprice themselves, therefore the fans lose, and we can't watch those fights. But now Turkey's coming in, paying money, but he's not paying absurd amounts of monies that fighters are not, worth. He's being reasonable. He's paying premiums, but perfect example is Canelo wanting $200 million to fight against Crawford. In other words, that means he doesn't want to.
Oscar also doesn't understand why Canelo is not giving the fight fans the David Benavidez fight. Oscar says that Canelo is making reasons and doesn't want to give beneficial fights. Oscar said that Al-Sheikh is saving boxing, and Canelo's reaction towards him can screw it all up.
million for Benavidez, and he want 150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to his legacy, because it would be crazy for a guy that started at 135 to come all the way up to 168, your weight, no catch weight, no none of that, and dethrone you. So, he got that in the back of his head. This guy, for one, he's tough. For two, he's a boxer. He moves, he can punch, he can do it all. I can't slip up and lose to this little guy. Then what will my fans think of me? What will
The past between Canelo and Oscar is not to forget. This might be the reason why Oscar is very critical of Canelo. Oscar thinks Canelo is scared of fighting the big fights. However, Oscar still believes that Canelo would be too much for Crawford after watching his performance against Madamo. He mentioned Crawford didn't look very dangerous up in the ring but against a beast, so imagine Canelo being the bigger guy and being the beast up in the ring. It's almost like a no contest. I mean, when has a smaller good guy ever beaten a good bigger guy? It has never happened in the history of the sport. Crawford recently beat Israel Madrimov by majority decision as he jumped a weight class to win the WBA Super Welterweight World title. Prior to the bout, there was plenty of talk about a possible future matchup between Crawford and Mexico's super middleweight king Canelo Alvarez. Saudi boxing chief Turki Al Sheikh, who staged Crawford vs. Madoff, previously stated his desire to make the Canelo
Terence Crawford versus Canelo.
As I tell before to the ESPN, I give him the offer. If he's smart, he will accept it.
However, Turkey had a change of heart when Canelo publicly demanded a staggering $150 million to meet Terence Crawford. Turki Al-Sheikh was critical of Canelo after the Mexican champion rejected the idea of working together under any terms other than his own during the press conference of Canelo vs. Edgar Berlanga. Canelo was questioned about a possible offer from Al-Sheikh to fight Terence Crawford. However, Alvarez voiced his discontent with Al-Sheikh's approach. Canelo voiced dissatisfaction with Turkey's stance on the potential fight, stating that if the Saudis wish to work with him, they must adhere to Canelo's terms. In retaliation, Al-Sheikh, who has become well known in the boxing world thanks to significant financial support from the Saudi crown prince, publicly charged Alvarez with dodging difficult matches. Al-Sheikh's response looked to put an end to any potential cooperation between the two in the future. I heard what Canelo said, that he respects me but doesn't like the way we do business. As for him respecting me, it doesn't matter to me if he does or not. As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it, because I only target big fights at fair prices. Of course, anyone who likes easy fights won't like that. He further continued, and I know how he feels after losing to Bull, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting David Benavidez or Crawford, therefore I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid, so I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show only fights. Then, in response to His Excellency's critical post, Canelo Alvarez expressed his lack of interest in His Excellency's opinions by using the sobbing emoji. In fact, Turkey's remarks don't appear to worry Alvarez, because it's Alvarez who needs Turkey, not the other way around. Canelo Alvarez, a Mexican boxer, thinks he'll easily beat Terence Crawford, another elite welterweight boxer, due to his impressive record and wins over renowned boxers despite Crawford's undefeated record and skills. Canelo's size and experience give him an edge. The boxing world watches this potential fight.
Be willing to pay whatever you want to fight Crawford. Yeah.
If he's willing to pay whatever I want, comes down.
That'll work. Yeah, so if yeah, you're in. So if the numbers were right with Crawford, you'll do it.
Why not? Why not? I think Crawford, don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in, because I don't like to fight guys like Crawford, because he move a lot and the fight is not that great. I saw Crawford the last fight, and he don't move that much now. So if the money is right, I'm in.
Reacting to this, Crawford thinks that Canelo is making these excuses because he knows that Crawford would be a threat to his legacy. Crawford answered, "I heard him say I'm easy work. If I were easy work, then you would take all that money he's offering you, but still, he wants $200 million for David Benavidez, and he wants $50 million to fight me, so that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him, and I'm a threat to his reputation." Crawford's showing against Madoff wasn't the most decisive looking into a possible matchup against Canelo. Many think that the Mexican would be too much for Crawford. Bob Santos also thinks that it would be a step too far for Crawford if he faces Canelo. He stated, "I think it'll be a step too big for him, but he has earned the right to try it. I think Canelo would be too big and too strong for him at T168. I could be wrong. He could prove us wrong, but for the most part, I think that's just a lot to ask a bud to go to 168. I may think it's a step too far, but that's what makes him great. That's why he was able to win at 135, 140, 147, and now 154, and he's been successful every single time, so he's at least earned that right. That's what makes him great. Santos concedes that Crawford's legacy has been built on taking risks and that he's earned the benefit of the doubt to make a choice like this. Crawford seems to be dead set on it, but we'll see if it ever comes to fruition. Lou DiBella urged Bud to not go for Canelo right now after watching his performance against Madoff. He posted Bud box like Bud and won still. I think he had less snap on his punches at 150 pounds, not much power visible. I think that resulted in Madrimov getting maybe too much credit for that, and the frustration his bouncy herky-jerky style was causing for Bud 168. No, now Mario Lopez said that Crawford shouldn't call out Canelo after this kind of showing.
Right now. No. After that, I don't think so. I mean, hey, Madrimov's a badass dude, though. He's a badass dude. The whole night was great, though. Good to see you, Alex.
Izzy Smith felt the weight jump didn't carry well for Crawford and advised him to stay at 154 and not fight Canelo. Smith said Bud should stay at 154, don't fight Canelo. Don't think the weight carried well, but Carlos Adams, who sparred with Terence Crawford, believes that Terence shouldn't be fighting Canelo right now. He thinks that Canelo punches really hard, and it will be dangerous for Terrence's boxing career.
Vi 3 divisiones bastante libres, demasiada yo diría. Pienso que no es algo que él lo necesita ahora mismo. Crawford en su carrera ha demostrado que es un buen peleador, pero pienso que no tiene que estar corriendo esos grandes riesgos, porque no solamente pone su carrera en riesgo, también pone su vida, porque un golpe de Canelo le puede hacer daño de por vida.
I don't think Crawford needs the Canelo fight right now. I think it's kind of needless for Crawford because his reputation is well cemented, and a punch by Canelo could not only be dangerous for him to lose the fight, but it could be dangerous for his life. So no need for Crawford to cross the line into such a heavy weight class.
The sparring partner, Kieran Davis, who has shared the ring with both fighters, thinks that size will play a big role in this fight. He thinks that Terence is a great fighter with skills, but the opponent he will be facing has skill and size both. He said that it's a big advantage for Canelo as he is bigger than Crawford, and it'll be too hard for Crawford to win victory against Canelo. Davis thinks Crawford would find it challenging to cause real damage to Canelo, who is known for his granite chin. Even at light heavyweight, he stated absolutely he would have to fight. The perfect size of the fight will play a role. It'll be a lot harder to damage Canelo, and Canelo's punches will be way more effective than Crawford's punches if they fight at 168, so it'll be a problem. It's not impossible, but it will be hard. Evander Holyfield thinks that it would be very hard for Crawford to beat Canelo. Evander thinks Crawford will have to gain weight to fight Canelo. Holyfield mentioned it's going to be hard for him to beat Canelo. He's really basic, but he's a good fighter. Daniel Jacobs thinks it will be a stern test for Crawford, who has expressed the desire to move all the way up to 168 pounds to fight Canelo Alvarez. Jacobs, who fought Canelo to a unanimous decision loss in May 2019, is giving Crawford a chance against Alvarez if the super fight ever happens. He stated skills sometimes pay the bills, and we know for sure that Crawford has the skills over Canelo. It's just sometimes power weight and experience may have a role in that, so it will be a good test for Crawford, but I think the fans are the winners in that particular fight. Bernard Hopkins looked concerned for Terence Crawford, questioning his choice. He stressed Crawford's well-being and benefit, asking what good the fight with Canelo could bring.
And with that fight, what do that fight do for Canelo fighting Crawford and Crawford beats Canelo? What do that do for Canelo? I just think that there are so many other fights to make that's realistic and makes sense and less life-risking.
Bernard further added, I have serious reservations about Crawford's decision to seek this fight with Canelo. It's a dangerous move, and I question the wisdom behind it. As someone who's been in the ring and knows the physical toll it takes, I'm worrying about Crawford's well-being in a matchup against someone like Canelo. What advantage does this fight hold for Crawford? There are plenty of other viable matchups available that don't carry the same amount of risk. Bernard Hopkins says that he'd like to see Virgil Ortiz versus Terence Crawford instead of Crawford fighting Canelo after watching Crawford's performance against Madron.
Displayed last week and a half, but Crawford, to me, I believe won the fight. I believe the fight could have won a draw, so you can't look at that fight and say that he's there for pickings, that his time is running out. We get up for certain fights at that level, and sometimes it can be not as good as the one that you got up for, which was Earl Spence. So I'm not fooled by what people might be saying about Crawford, whether it's time, whether it's not. Nah, I say he gets up for fights that he gets up for, and he at that age where it takes something super exciting to get excited about. I would like to see Virgil, based on this Saturday, how he looks, how he executes, and how he wins. that it gives me a blueprint to see, yeah, he won, but will he win this way with Crawford?
Virgil Ortiz is a teacher. Robert Garcia thought Crawford's fight with Madoff was a very close fight, and it wasn't enough for Crawford to convince people into thinking that he could go up against Canelo at a much higher weight class. Garcia thinks that a fight against Ortiz would be better for Crawford. Robert stated maybe Crawford's performance was not good enough for people to expect him to do very well against Canelo, so perhaps an Ortiz fight is a good idea. Paulie Maligan Aggie also recommends Crawford to stay at 154 and fight the likes of Virgil Ortiz, Sebastian Fundora and Tim DePauli Malagi, a former world champion and respected boxing analyst, thinks that Terence Crawford should stay in the 154-pound division and face some of the top fighters in the weight class. While Crawford is not the physically strongest fighter at 154 pounds, Nagy believes that his exceptional boxing IQ and skills allow him to compete with anyone in the division. However, he warns that it is not without risk given Crawford's age of 36 and the highly competitive nature of the 154-pound division. Paulie stated Crawford's not exactly the strongest of fighters at F4 pounds, but his IQ is so high that he can compete with anyone there, just not without risk. He's in a very competitive class, and he's 36 years old. The thought of him fighting Tim Sebastian Fonder, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Seri Bohachik, or Madoff again is very attractive. Malik Nagy thinks that Crawford should consider fights against the likes of Virgil Ortiz Jr., Sebastian Fonder, Tim Tayu, Seri Bohachik, and Israel Madoff think that these matchups would be very appealing to fans and would help solidify Crawford's legacy as one of the best fighters of his generation. Ortiz Jr. in particular is seen as a tough test for Crawford. Malik Nagy thinks that Ortiz Jr. is the slight favorite going into his fight with Bohachik, but he also acknowledges that the loser of that fight could still be a potential future opponent for Crawford. Shu, despite suffering a cut in his latest fight against Fonder, he should not be overlooked as a potential opponent for Crawford. Malik Nagy thinks that Shu has the skills and determination to be a threat to anyone in the division. He added that if Crawford sticks at 1-4 weights, which he should, he'll be prominent in one of the world's best weight divisions. The fight between Ortiz Jr., to my mind a narrow favorite, and Bohachik on Saturday is so appealing that even the loser remains a possible future opponent. Shu also shouldn't be held back because of the cut he received against Fonder, and I'd be just as interested in a rematch with Madoff overall. Nagy believes that Crawford should stay at 154 pounds and embrace the challenges offered by the division's top fighters. He thinks that Crawford has the skills and experience to overcome any opponent and cement his place as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Well, it's not done as anything can happen in boxing, but Turkey has said that a fight between Canelo and Crawford is put on the shelf now. Considering this, it is rare that we'd see this matchup in the near future. However, Crawford can shine at 154, while most fans had wanted to see Canelo duke it out with longtime WBC mandatory David Benavidez this summer. Berlanga was picked instead. Despite Benavidez constantly campaigning for the fight, Canelo has shown little interest in taking up the challenge and recently claimed he would only face the monster if he received the $200 mailer offer. Instead, the 34-year-old winner has bagged paydays against lesser competition despite public pressure, someone who is never shy to speak his mind. His former UFC 2 division champion, Conor McGregor, took to XCOM to share his thoughts on Canelo's selling power and about going head-to-head with the UFC on the same night as UFC 306, which takes place at the $2.3 billion Sphere show. McGregor posted Canelo is a cornflake. He continued he has about 300K pay-per-view. He buys in him. He does not generate anything, nothing near what he wants to be paid. UFC NOS is going to run them from the strip. Sheikh Tory was right. Going on, Canelo doesn't sell. Canelo didn't take too kindly to me.
You know, if the money's right, so I think the money will be right, you know, eventually. It depends which route Canelo goes, though. You know, it sounds like Terence Crawford, the Saudis want to make that fight happen. So if he fights Crawford, then I think it'll be less likely he'll fight Benavidez. But yeah, hopefully David gets it. You know, I think he deserves it.
So what are your ideas about this? What do you make of this feud between Canelo and Turkey? Is Canelo scared of Crawford? Do let us know in the comment section below if you liked this video. Make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.